Hello, hello, super expanders. How are you doing? I am pretty much having a pinch me moment because I'm sitting here with just a pure ray of sunshine, effervescence, energy. This woman literally blows me away and inspires me. So I'm so excited to share with you Bridgitte Carroll.
Thank you so much, Corey. This is going to be so fabulous. I can't wait to have this convo and be here with you. And I know your listeners are just going to love it.
Oh my goodness. Of course they are because you're amazing. The first
Thank you.
time I ever had, let's give you some context. So Bridgitte and I think we like are Instagram friends really, and we were like run in circles that parallel, and then somehow our worlds completely collided, and I'm not even exactly sure how it happened, but then it just did.
There's the universe stepping in and being like, you two should be connected. And we're like, okay, let's lean into that.
Absolutely. And I think the first time I even actually had a conversation, I was like, don't we already know each other somehow? And then I was like, no, I think we were just Instagram friends.
I just freaking love that so much. I think that's the power of social media in a super positive way, right? Like we would never have been connected without social. And like, what a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I know if social media gets such a bad rap, but I have to say, I think some of the most brilliant, inspiring women in my life became friends of mine through social media. Exactly, I would have never had access, never had the guts to even have a conversation. If we had been in the same room, I
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have been able to figure out a way to actually have a conversation. So social media just like makes things less awkward, right? the like icebreaker get to know you conversations that you can have with people bonding over a cute dog or something.
Are you talking about my dog again? No. I mean, I absolutely agree.
uh, so we're just going to dive right into it because the audience already knows all of the amazing things that you are working on because I shared them in the introduction. So let's just dive right in and talk about who Bridgitte is at your core. Like, who is Bridgitte Carroll, the essence of you?
Yeah. So I'm a huge cheerleader of myself and my friends and my clients, and truly of all people. I'm an Enneagram 7. So I'm always the one that's saying, let's freaking go, or cheering on my girlfriend or cheering on my clients. So that's kind of the energy that you get with me through social, but also in person. I think one of my biggest core values is authenticity. And I just truly like to show up as that person, as that cheerleader, because I feel it. I feel that every woman and every person can have it all. And that's like at the essence of my being. Like, I believe you can have it all, and I believe I can have it all too. And there's a lot of inner work that goes along with that. I know you know that. A lot of hypno breath work that goes along with that. Um, and I'm a generator in human design. I really follow my gut through what's lighting me up. I've built businesses based on gut feelings and seven-figure businesses based on my gut and what's in alignment for me. And I move through this world listening to my gut and what's in alignment. And it's brought me to a lot of beautiful spaces and with beautiful people. And it's been an incredible ride.
Ah, and I wasn't even going to go this quickly into what your company is, but it clearly, yeah, I'm listening to my gut. I'm also a generator, and your energy, oh my gosh, it's like the first time I ever like we started talking, I was like, I knew you were a generator. But because you lead with your gut, and we know that
Mhm.
authenticity is all about that. Is that really how? I mean, obviously the foundation of what your company is there as well, but it seems like very it's by no coincidence that the name of your company is Gut Personal.
Yeah, I mean, so I started my career as a gut health dietitian, and I believe like if your gut isn't healthy, how can you listen to it? Like, isn't that an interesting like piece to the puzzle? So like my mission is health and wealth for women. Like very specifically, I believe us women have more deservingness than we currently do of health and our wealth. And I know you believe that too, especially on the wealth side of things.
Oh, yes.
Preaching to
On
the
both
choir.
sides. Preaching
Yeah.
to the choir. I mean, and the health too, because I come from a health background too. I mean, that's really how I
Yeah.
entered my entrepreneurial journey, is through health and fitness. So talk about top core values aligning.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like when I'm thinking about moving through this world and like what us women need more, it's like, I'm listening to my gut because I healed my gut. Like my gut was healed through functional medicine 8 years ago. And I wouldn't be able to have the business that I have or to listen to my gut had I not healed it. If I was feeling bloated all the time, if I was, God forbid, constipated and pooping once a week, like how can you lead an incredible life when something is so off? So I created a company to literally help the masses of and personalizing gut health supplements so we can feel better and then we can elevate every other part of our life because our health is literally the foundation.
So good. That basically, I don't know, it has my wheels turning a lot on the interconnectedness of gut health and your intuition being like really, really directly correlated in a way that I don't feel like is really spoken about that often.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or ever. And it's so funny. So some of my business coaching clients, and we're jumping over through all my different businesses a little bit, but my business coaching clients, like when I talk to them and I'm saying, asking them to tune into their intuition. I don't know if you ever see this with yourself or your girlfriends. It's almost like a looking up for answers externally instead of looking down. And now that I mention that, people will start to see it, but like we need to tune into more of what our body is saying. And a lot of responses come into the gut is basically what I'm trying to say. But like tuning into self and what self feels, a lot of us in the entrepreneurial space will look externally for answers. And we know like things like hypno breath work allow us to tune in and listen to that gut and trust our gut more of what it's saying.
I feel like you kind of summed up a massive problem for all entrepreneurs. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening, you might want to rewind and listen to that one again, because the external looking causes so many problems I think on so many levels, like, okay, entrepreneurship, but also in health too, right? Because we're like out there and you're like Googling certain things, whether you're trying to like self-diagnose, and you end up down a rabbit hole. And if you had been able to just kind of like actually tune in and really listen, you might not have gone down like that said rabbit hole. And I feel like it might not be making sense, but I feel like we end up making problems for ourselves by doing things like that, because when you look externally, then you start like not fabricating symptoms, but looking for something that's not actually there.
1,000%. And I feel like, you know, tuning into your intuition and your gut on like who could help you. Like I started a business based on authenticity and sharing what my clients were having success with, how they felt with working with me. And I think you can feel that even on Instagram, right? Like definitely not on Google, but on Instagram, you can feel who's authentically there to help you change, to help you heal. And that's what our newer company Gut Personal does. The creation of that company is twofold, allowing a personalized supplement recommendation through a quiz, right? We're learning more about you. And the authentic part is that I've done this for hundreds and hundreds of women, and here's what's helped them. And so if you're looking, this is, you to your listeners, like if you're looking at my page or my company's page and you feel this pull towards us or this, yeah, I think they could finally help me, then follow that, right? Or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you need to follow your gut of like your next business coach, but like listen to your body of like what it needs. And to me with health, I've always felt that us in this modern day age need, with 100% certainty, supplements. They help the body heal so much faster. They help us feel so good in our body, and they're an incredible tool.
Absolutely. All right. So now we have to pull it back. I feel like I'm directing this like an interesting director. We like fast forwarded to the end and now we got to go back to the beginning. So it's like one of those movies you'll have to like rewatch. You have to re-listen to the podcast. So you have this supplement company that you was born out of healing your own gut. So let's go back to the piece of really how that began for you, so that everyone can really connect the dots and understand how you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. So 8 years ago, like I was saying, I healed my gut through functional medicine, literally through doing a poop test, figuring out what was wrong, and adding in personalized supplements. And for the last 7, 8 years, that's what I've been doing for clients, looking at test results, creating a supplement plan. And what I realized in the last 2 years is that I've done so much with these hundreds, if not thousands of tests, that I see big patterns. And so me as a serial entrepreneur, I'm like, and someone who truthfully wants every woman to feel good in her body, I'm like, okay, me and my team of dietitians, we can only help so many people. And truthfully, I was getting burnt out of one-to-ones, not only because it was my time and my space, but also I wanted to help people on a bigger scale. So I created this quiz and it created a company, Gut Personal, and it allows you to answer about 10 questions and then gives you a supplement regimen from that. Additionally, the other intention of the company was not only improving health in women, but improving wealth of women, which these are like really the two pillars. These are my two missions: improve health and wealth of women, of us all. And so I brought female investors in, like you are an investor in Gut Personal, which truly just lights me up. And we have Lori Harder, we have Courtney Vi Weaver, incredible women, Jackie Service, just to name a few, and bringing together a really powerful group of women that it's almost like a mastermind within itself, and is just such incredible energy to the company and helping it grow, but in the end, to sell it for massive amounts of wealth for us all. So it was something where I didn't want to build a company by myself. I wanted powerful women like yourself by my side. I wanted my expanders literally by my side.
And we all know that that's such a recipe for success, right? Because expanders are such a big piece of the puzzle for like literally showing us what's possible in the world, which I have to say, thank you for even like categorizing me as in a circle of expanders for you, because that's a huge compliment. And I'll receive that with just so much gratitude to be in. I feel like so grateful to be a part of something that has such a big mission, both for health and for changing the dynamic and the paradigm of wealth for women in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty damn powerful. I'll say that.
Full body chills over here. That's for sure. So let's like kind of just roll right into that then, because you're on this big journey of creating it's created of building, expanding, and growing a company that has such a massive mission. So along your journey, just in business and life, there had to have been some big time super expanders that really showed you that this seed of an idea was truly possible.
Yeah. I think, expanders, I just love the mission of this podcast and like what it's about, like super expanders, because that's truly allowed me to grow at literally an exceptional rate. Like, cannot believe what other people believe is realistic, me using super expanders, the word realistic never crosses my mind because I see a woman do it and I say, I can too. I think that's a really important part of having expanders is saying, I can too, because they're showing you what's possible versus, now this is not a great way to use expanders, is she can, but I can't. And I think that's something that I hold close is that belief that if they can, I can too. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning of my true entrepreneurial journey, which was just during the pandemic before I was working for other people in private practice and gut health. So the pandemic hit and I knew there was more available to me. And I wanted my own business. I wanted to expand into my own company. And I started following people on social media. And one of the people that was taking over my Instagram feed and all of my attention during the pandemic was Jess Glazer. And at the time, she had in her Instagram bio, now this is really important, first million in 18 months. And I was like, when I first saw that, of course I didn't believe I could, right? Like, let's all say what it is. I didn't see that the first time and was like, yeah, I can do that too, right? It takes some of that inner work. It takes some belief work and deservingness to feel into that. But I saw that and I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking cool. And as time went on in my entrepreneurial journey, my first month in business was $42,000. And I had no idea until 4 months later when I looked at, QuickBooks, I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, this is great. We're having some really incredible success, all based on like, here's my mission and here's my intention with my business was healing women's gut health at the time. And I'm just going to put it out there on Instagram. So that's what I was doing in the easy days of marketing on Instagram. And I saw Jess's first million in 18 months and kept making scary decisions in my business. One of those was working with her. So I really think that's so powerful. If you have an expander and a super expander, figure out how you can get into their energy more. Figure out how you can get into their space more or learn from them. Get closer, get in the freaking room. And she was saying that at the time. She was like, get in the room. She got in the room and I started to realize I'm growing and I have an exceptional business and I'm loving what I'm doing, but I want more. And so 7 months into my entrepreneurial journey, this is literally start of 2021, I signed up to work with her. $20,000, something like that, to be in her group program. It was the biggest investment I had made in my business. So that's 6 months into my business. Fast forward 16 months into my business, I hit my first million.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
And it's powerful because I saw her first million in 18 months and I said, I can do that too in the end, right? And I hit it in 16 months. And it just goes to show you that was so powerful in my head. And I had that like guiding light of if she can do it, I can do it too. If she can do it, I can do it too. And not only can I do it, I can learn from her and possibly do it faster. And in a super aligned, not burn myself out way.
Well, and that's really, I think, one of the massive things about a super expander and mentors, period, right? Because, excuse me, they've gone before you and you can take the things that they've learned. They get to collapse time for you. So you get to take their lessons and apply them to your life, which truly is the reason why you can do it faster, because they possibly learned from a mentor who maybe made their million in 3 years. And then she took the advice from that person, applied it to her life, removed the mistakes that they made. And now she's passing on that information, that wisdom to you, and you can remove the mistakes that she made along the way. And here we are at 16 months. And then the people that come into your world get to learn from you. And now all of a sudden they're making millions in 12 months. And that's literally the power of getting in the room with people who are doing the things that you want to do. It's proof And then you get to apply it with your life wisdom.
Yeah. Wow. That is really powerful. You just sucked that out in a way that I couldn't. And I just want to honor you. That was like beautiful.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's the idea. I think the potency of super expanders. And I think that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times people are looking to super expanders in a way, or mentors in a way. It's just like this idea of putting them on a pedestal
Mm-hmm.
and almost, I don't know, there's this sensationalism, not in the way of like walking with someone and actually getting
Mm-hmm.
into the nitty gritty and learning from them, or thinking that someone is a super expander for them, but they couldn't possibly ever hire them, or they couldn't ever possibly get in the room with them, which we know that that's not true, right? Because we're all, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And like when you get in the room, you realize that we're not much different at all. And like that's pretty incredible to say, okay, she did this, I can too. And we're not much different. That means I can do it even more. I don't know. That's kind of how I took it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's such a good one. And Jess actually is so funny. She was a super expander for me as well. I actually was
Yeah.
in a mastermind when COVID hit. In her mastermind, we were actually in LA together when the world literally shut down. We were in a house in LA.
That is amazing. I was in LA watching from afar. That's when I first started following Jess through Naomi, who's a
Yes.
Bostonian.
Yeah, Naomi was in the house there too. Oh my gosh. So here we go. Full circle moment. Now we really figure out
Jeez, oh Pete.
the real connection and how it all began.
Oh my God, that's pretty incredible.
So I'm so like, that's just like such a astonishing journey that you were able to, at the start of COVID, start a business, not only start a business, but make your first million in that business in that amount of time, which literally, if you guys are listening, it means that this is possible for you too.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important too that I did it also in a way that I wanted to. Before you and I press record, alignment is so important for me. And it's so important for my clients and my girlfriends, is like, I wanted to do that. And also, I didn't want to burn out, which I saw a lot of people doing. So, what you can take from your super expanders is you can take what you want and also say, and this is how I want to feel, or this is how I want to do it differently. Because I was seeing a lot of women hit huge numbers, but I didn't want to feel some of the ways that they were feeling, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, it makes total sense. And I love the fact that you were talking about taking kind of like take what you need, which is the conversation that I've had a couple times here on the podcast, is that there isn't necessarily just one super expander. You almost are like along the way, you're building your own version of a super expander by taking from one person what you need and then from another. So that's how you essentially are building yourself as a super expander for others in all of these arenas of your life, whether it's in finance, it's business, love, family, whatever it happens to be. You can look to someone who is an amazing mother, and maybe that's what your aspirations, and you're looking to them as a super expander, but they don't have to be a super expander on all areas for you. You can look to someone in just this like one microscopic way.
Yeah, I actually keep a list of all my super expanders. And then for some of them, I write next to them like why they're an expander. So, for example, another super expander for me is Sarah Blakely. She, founder of Spanx. If you guys don't know her, she sold her company for over $1 billion. And I'm just like, yeah, she's a super expander for me. So now when I go into breath work, for example, her face comes up and I think to her for lessons. I think to her of how she felt when she started a business and things like that. But from what she's done, she built her company over 20 years. That part doesn't resonate for me. So I kind of leave that and I look to someone else who sold their company in 5 years, which is what I want to do. So I take, a lesson from her of like, okay, she sold for $1 billion. My goal is 100 million. So a little different, but I can also respect and think into, why do I think my company won't sell for $1 billion? And that brings up more topics of like limiting beliefs inside of me that I can then go into breath work. So just sharing with you guys something that's, been really powerful for me, of actually writing people down, writing why they're an expander, and kind of, leaving the parts that don't resonate.
I love the way that you're talking about that too, because I think it's really important for us to ask the deeper questions of really why someone is an expander for you, because you can look to them and kind of from this outside perspective be like, they've got the car, they've got the house, they've got the whatever it is, that from this vantage point could be really inspirational for you. But I think that the real meat of someone inspiring you to be like, have an extraordinary business, to lead an extraordinary life, it goes so much deeper than that. And also knowing that they don't have to like have this state of perfection for them to expand you.
Absolutely. And probably the opposite, right? Like some of my most expansive moments with my super expanders was realizing kind of what we were saying before, they are human. And it allows me to show up imperfectly. And you know what that feels like? Amazing. That I can show
Yeah.
up, for my friends, my clients, or my team imperfectly, and actually how beautiful that is, and how much more fun it is, and how much less pressure I put on myself. And then when we feel all of those good emotions, that is what allows us to expand and grow quicker too.
Ah, so true. I love that Sarah Blakely is one of your expanders. She's one of my expanders. She's on my dream list to have on this podcast, because talk about a powerhouse woman, right? Her whole entire story, just from selling, was it copiers or like fax machines, as how she started out and like cutting like nude hose at like the biker short level so that she could wear them under white linen pants. I think is that really how it all started.
I love that. I love that. Do people wear Spanx under white linen pants? Like that just came to me. I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing.
I don't, I think I listened to, I think it was on How I Built This, the podcast. And that was how she started, was because she had like linen pants that didn't have a liner and she wanted to wear them, but felt like you could see through them or
Oh
something
my
like that.
God. I just really love that. Because Corey, that really helped me see how like my company, like I saw myself in that story and realizing like, oh wait, we've got our shit together. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to have your shit together to be really successful. You know what I mean? And I was like, I just saw myself in that story and I was like, wow, we have a killer ass product that within 3 months of launching, we've changed hundreds of women's lives already. Like that just felt cool. So that's also when I hear stories like that, I'm like, where do I see myself? And how can I cheer myself on in a small way?
Oh my gosh, totally. So with this company that's changing lives on such a big scale for so many women in so many ways, and I mean not just women either, because this is something that is your product isn't just for women, it actually is for
Totally.
all human beings. It's not gender
Yeah.
specific. There's got to be a big feeling that drives you to keep reaching, because something that I've learned along the way is that it's not just about the big income goals, that and it can't be, right? Because if that was the only thing driving us, at some point it gets old. So what is it that you're striving for on a daily basis? What is it that literally lights the fire inside your soul?
Oh my God. So many things. When you were talking, I was just thinking of the things that just light me up and inspire me. And I'm feeling this like warm sensation in my heart because it's so heart centered. Like everything I do, the big numbers are so heart centered. And from what you just said, I know you believe that too. There's such a bigger why. So I'll just speak to the big numbers for what my goals are to sell Gut Personal. So I'm very clear about it. In 3 to 5 years, I'd love to sell Gut Personal for $100 million. what that gives me is freedom. And I'm sure that's pretty damn cliche for most people that they hear that. That's what a lot of us want, but it truly is. It is going on a boat on a Tuesday with my fiance and my dog and feeling like there's nowhere else I could, need to be. It is, God, a lot of things come back to my family, me and my fiance and my dog. But it gives me freedom. I mean, one of the things I tell the girls in my mastermind is like, one of my big whys is I want to travel with ease. So what does that mean to me? It means flying private so that my dog can fly with me. Like, it's things that are silly to others that feel so important to me. And what I've kind of released is this need to have a why that makes sense to other people. And oh golly, I feel like getting emotional because that is when you reach for those bigger things, right? Like when it's so authentic to you, um that's what makes it more powerful, that why. So those are very small examples of I feel in my body this ease of being with my family and enjoying life in a bigger way. And then I think about with that level of success of like the types of relationships I get to have and cultivate because I'm able to travel easier, because I can say, Corey, you're like, hey, we're renting a boat for the weekend. Want to come down and like celebrate life? And I can be like, yeah, I'll be right there. So it's about this like connection of being able to connect with people in an easier way. That's what money gives me.
Yes, I love what you're talking about there in terms of freedom and money, because I feel like a lot of times when people talk about having enough wealth to have access to things like flying private, there's all of a sudden this like quick to judge, like that's like overindulgent, it's excessive. And I was just actually having this conversation with a friend the other day about weighing out the difference between what is like overindulgent luxury and what's really there to like optimize your life. And I think a sense of when you start talking about freedom and talking about it in that context, that's really what that starts to open up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Freedom is the ability to like fully live your life and do it from a place of desire, right? So that you don't have to ask your bank account for permission. That's all I always say. Like, my goal is I don't want to have to ask my bank account for permission. It doesn't mean that you're going to go and you're going to buy 10 private jets to fly. I mean, if you could, good for you that you'd be able to do that. But that's the idea of having access to things that elevates your life to a point where you get to save time, which is our most not, I mean, it's a non-renewable resource. So if you can hop on a plane and you can take your dog with you, which I fully feel that because I have a dog that I love. So I'm like, of course, would you ever not want to take your, like, how could they even not let dogs just sit on the seat next to you? It's the most ridiculous thing ever. So if you have to have fly private to be able to do that and save time and be there and be present, isn't that the most amazing thing that money could have possibly afford you, is this opportunity to do something like that?
Absolutely. And I think that too, like this dichotomy of like, or duality of the overindulgent or like what is not is kind of like a personal thing, right? Because someone could
Absolutely.
decide if they're making $10 million a year, that flying private does feel like for them overindulgent. And maybe that's not their priority, but you and I are like, hey, we have a dog we really freaking love. We want to spend as much time with that we can. They influence our lives in such a positive way. And as generators, you and I have to do what lights us up. And that makes us more happy, abundant, and magnetic humans. So it's like kind of a question I actually ask myself is like, does this light me up? And for me right now, like a Louis Vuitton bag doesn't light me up at all, but like incredible shoes do. And it's not all material things, right? Like, oh gosh, can I think of it? Like my laptop that I'm using right now is 8 years old. Do I really feel like spending money just because I have it on a new laptop? No. So I don't, right? So it's kind of like I think for the listeners to ask the question of like, what enhances my life? What do I really prioritize and put value to? And then do that if you're able to.
Yes. Well, it's so funny because when you say that, the way that I interpret that, especially being from the generator context, is that by doing that, the person that you show up as literally contributes to the ripple effect in the world, right? So if
Yeah.
you're showing up so magnified in your purpose, and it's the shoes that you're wearing that literally are like give you that little extra oomph to make you feel like that, to deliver the message, deliver your mission, that's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yes.
Yes. So buy the shoes, do it.
Little for Randall. That's the one that I have. The one that goes on.
And then send me a picture.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh my goodness. So good. We could sit here and riff on money and all the things for I think an eternity because I love to jam out on this. But I know that you're so busy, and I'm so grateful that you were able to take this time to really share intimately and authentically with us. So I love to call this the super expander moment so that it's like literally opens up a platform to collapse time for the people listening. If you could give yourself just any kind of golden nugget, like your younger self, well, a golden nugget of wisdom, some advice, some encouragement, something that the listeners could take as something that can expand them today, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it's you deserve to have it all. That deservingness piece. And it's something that I could tell my fourth grade self, my 8-year-old self. And it's something that I'm still even learning more on my deservingness of what I deserve, whether it's I deserve to have it all and be treated really well by my family and friends. I deserve to have it all in money. I deserve to have it all in my relationship with my fiance. You deserve to have it all. Not just you're worthy of it. Okay, we all know that. Deservingness is this next level of like, if it's within me, it's for me. So if there's one thing I would say to adopt it, it's that sentence right there.
Mm, yep, you get to have it all. You totally do. Okay, so for everyone listening, how can they get into your world? What is the best way for them to follow you, to get to know you, to find out
Yeah.
more about Gut Personal?
Yeah. So my personal Instagram is well by Bridgitte. It's spelled a little funky, so I know you'll put it in the show notes. Bridgitte is spelled a little French for you. Why not? And if you're someone even listening to this and you want to have it all, but your health is holding you back, Gut Personal is a great place to start. We have that couple-minute quiz. You'll get test results, you'll get answers, and feel empowered to move forward with your health. We also have a team of functional medicine dietitians if really health is where you need to focus. Um, like Corey and I have been talking about, if your health is not a priority, you can't. It's harder to grow in these other areas, right? So focus on that first, and know that you deserve to feel really well in health and in wealth. And just come into my space. I'd love to connect with you. Please, if you're starting to follow me, please DM me so we can connect because the one-to-one connection for me, oh, it's so good.
You heard it here. Get over there, say hello, slide into her DMs so that you can connect. And that because that's her love language, is basically what she just said.
Truly is. Thank you so much for having me. This was beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy, your light, all of it. Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
I appreciate you too.